Blothar,
Hey,
how are you, buddy?
pretty good. How are you?
Good, man. Thank you for taking some time here to join the Toddcast podcast in Vancouver, Canada.
Hey, no problem.
Fantastic. I wasn't sure if you were coming fully in garb or not. This is great.
Well, good.
How has your world been? Did you guys manage to evade COVID? Talk about a couple crazy years, eh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we just enjoyed it as a break from having to be around one another.
Mm.
You know,
That's a good way
war
to
is not
look
the
at
most
it.
pleasant company, even on the best of days. So, uh, we had fun. You know, I hang out at. I've actually moved out of the Antarctic fortress and gone to Florida now. I hang out in Florida, in Sarasota, Florida.
That's a big change.
Yeah. I live in Mick Jagger's carriage house.
Oh, that's great. You and Mick are pretty tight. I remember that.
Yeah, me and Mick. We
Yeah.
go way back. Since,
Talk
I
about
screwed
how
them.
the pandemic maybe like affected the game plan as a band. Obviously, it didn't stifle any creativity within the band as the new album, The New Dark Age, is coming out pretty quick, June 3rd.
Yeah. Well, you know, we. I mean, it slowed things down and it made us focus on videos and other ways to. Excuse me. Oh my goodness.
Bless you.
I have no idea what happened. Too much cocaine.
Never had that happen to me before.
Never had it happen. So, you know, yeah, I mean, it was pretty much a chance for us to, since we weren't focusing on live shows, we worked on video stuff. We worked on some comic content and worked on getting some deals worked out, stuff like that. You know, so we took the time to, as I think a lot of rock bands did, to regroup and you know, it's so rare that you have that much time without being on the road that we were able to get some things done.
Yeah, and you're mentioning the the comics and stuff, the graphic novel. Like, how does that work within the band? Like, who has, like, I guess, creative control, and like what are the steps to work on something like that as opposed to music?
Well, it's complete anarchy.
I don't know
The matter is, yeah, it's just a bunch of scribbling and fighting.
Yeah.
But really, you know, Gwar has always been rooted in underground comics. That was really my first introduction. Well, my slave, my thrall, human thrall, it was his first introduction to the world of Gwar was the comics that were drawn by Hunter Jackson and Dave Brockie back in the old days. And Gwar really emerged from that world of underground comics, which got started in the 60s and the 70s. So there have always been people in the band who drew comics and who did things like that, and wrote comics and had an interest in comics. Certainly everybody in the band. So it's was natural for us to seek that kind of deal. And we'd had deals like that before with Dark Horse Comics and Last Gasp and other names in the industry. So working with Z2 was a really good chance for us to dig in and do something long form that is directly connected to the album, The New Dark Ages. So really in this time, what we did was we pulled ourselves together and figured we would do a massive sort of coordinated project. And that's what we did.
And which superpower would you want to have?
Well, the superpower I do have, I can, you know, I'm a berserker. I mean, I can basically blow on my thumb and I'd turn into a gigantic raving maniac. I get much larger than I am right now. It's kind of like an Incredible Hulk situation, though. It's unpredictable. I'm struggling to reconcile with the monster that lives inside of me.
You get blind with rage.
Blind with rage, and I'm running from the accusations, just like Bill Bixby.
Yes, exactly. I'm curious, which were the bands to really truly grab a hold of you? Maybe the first to inspire, so to speak.
At the Slave Pit, we used to have a lot of music going on, which is the studio that Gwar studio. I think as far as playing rock and roll, hardcore punk was definitely something that I was always interested in. But then, for Gwar as a unit, there was an older set of artists that were working on the project, and those guys always listened to Jesus Christ Superstar and Kiss and Alice Cooper and the Tubes. Any band that had a theatrical presentation, even Parliament, right? That they were, Devo would be a great example. Bands that had these sort of a story and a culture behind them and an entire presentation. Certainly one thing we were reacting to, I think, was rock bands that were just standing there playing their music. And of course, they're back to that now. It's extremely boring to go to a rock concert. I would not, unless you're just hanging on, it's music that you absolutely love, then what is there to look at? It's a bunch of preening egomaniacs strutting around on stage playing mediocre bullshit. So we wanted to do something different.
Yeah,
we wanted
clearly
to preen around in ridiculous outfits and play mediocre bullshit.
And with Gwar being known for like over the top antics with the stage show, and of course the awesome costumes, and there's sexual and there's some violent themes going on. There's political satire.
That's right.
Was it super important, for you guys to have a bit of a concept?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Sexy, violent satire only gets you so far. Yeah. I mean, from the beginning, I think the sexy violence, I'm probably phrasing that wrong. The sexy violence came after the concept, to be honest with you. That was something that grew out of our puerile senses of humor. It was quite natural once we undertook the project to just, Gwar is as rooted as it is in comics, it's also rooted in science fiction and in horror movies and just an interest in these kinds of things.
Yeah, of course. And I want to go back to your early days, and I'm curious about the music that was in your house as a kid growing up. Like, what were you being exposed to, and like, what were your parents playing?
I was unfortunately exposed to a lot, let me tell you.
Yes, we're talking music here, but yeah.
My mother was a cow, a giant cow. And my fathers, I have multiple fathers, they were a race of frost giants who slept with my mother, the cow, although it wasn't rape, she enjoyed it. But she welcomed these all comers, so to speak. But I'm actually a dwarf, but I am a giant dwarf, so it sort of balances out, believe it or not.
Right.
Yeah. But at my house, what we would listen to, I was raised singing the songs of my people, with just ridiculous mountain hymnals, religious music. That's what was in my house, and it's actually how I came to learn how to sing or to understand music was through singing these songs of spiritual songs of praise. And then at some point, I realized, wow, this is just a bunch of bullshit. And so I began to be more interested in what was on the radio, things like, I will say that my first exposure to Kiss was my grandmother had a Kiss record. I don't know why. I have no idea, but I'll never forget it. I was sitting there looking through records, and there was a Freddie Fender record that I would play a lot. And then one day I just found a Kiss record. It was Rock and Roll Over. And I played it and was very, very impressed by it. So, when I was growing up, though, I did grow up in a family that participated in religious music a lot.
And what was the first concert that you went to?
The first concert that I went to ever was, you got to give me a break here. It's been 9,000 years.
Combing through cobwebs here.
Yeah. No, actually, I went to see the Pretenders.
Okay.
And and that rock band, The Alarm, that looked like those sort of rock star chickens, with the big hair everywhere. Those are my favorite chickens, the rock star chickens.
Yes. A couple fan questions here for you, Blothar. Rob wants to know, is there something that you guys have wanted to do on stage that a promoter says you can't do?
Well, occasionally you'll have a promoter who comes out and says things like, you can't show those wieners. And we say, wait a minute, they're not wieners, they're cow udders, or they're a fish or something like that.
Right.
So we generally ignore whatever the hell it is they tell us to do. And just, or our favorite tactic is to say, oh yes, absolutely, we'll take care of that. And then go out there and do just exactly what we were planning to do.
Right.
And it's not like they can stop it once it gets underway. So, there has really never been a time when a promoter said anything to us. I think in Sioux City, Iowa, there's a city ordinance that prohibits, I do have to put socks on my udders when we play there.
Right, like the Chili Peppers did. Remember that?
Yeah, I do. But and that's
they
where
put socks on their cocks when they're doing like a Lollapalooza tour or something like that in the mid 90s.
Yeah, and it's even more. That was the influence for it. But the weird thing is that it just makes it look more obscene to have.
Of course.
Socks
on udders.
Yeah. And we used to. I remember at that very show we also had this character that would come out that we called, I don't know, was it? It might have been the sex cow, but it comes out and it's just a monster that has 6 boobs. So we put 3 bras on it at that show. It just looked so obscene.
It's preposterous, right?
Yeah.
Brandon wants to know, what's the cost on those costumes?
The cost. Well, first of all, they're not costumes. This is leather and steel and rivets, to quote the great Exciter band from the 80s. It costs a lot of money to put on a Gwar show, I'll say that.
Yeah.
Which is why it costs a lot of money to book a Gwar show. And no, you can't afford it, and we will not play your freaking bat mitzvah. So forget it. But yeah, it costs a lot of money. To give an actual figure, I don't know, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of $10,000 or $11,000.
Whoa.
Yeah, well, you've got professional artists and, forging steel and leather and polishing rivets, it costs money.
Costs money, yeah. Christian says, did they think they'd stand a chance at winning those 2 Grammy nominations?
Did we think we'd stand a chance? We had absolutely no interest in the Grammy nominations, which is why the Grammys got so angry at me when I said that these were the accolades of a dim-witted child, and that's exactly what they are. They're just stupid. I mean, who gives a shit about a Grammy?
Yeah,
that's not
best
where
answer
we're seeking.
Ever.
Yeah.
Cam goes, what's the craziest prank that he's done or had done on himself?
Done on myself. The craziest prank. I don't know. I mean, mostly I'm just trying to get through the day from point A to point B and eat as many hot dogs as I possibly can. So I think probably the greatest prank that I've ever had pulled on me was that I got catfished one time. I was all set to marry who I thought was a very, very gorgeous cow.
Some are pretty nice.
I met on farmersonly.com. But as luck would have it, it was a Coke machine dressed as a cow.
Oh.
Yeah, very disappointing. Actually, it was a vending machine that sold milk that was dressed as a cow. farmersonly.com. That's where I go.
This episode's brought to you by.
That's right.
Randall wants to know, does it hurt when you pee?
It hurts when I do anything. Yes, of course.
Of course it does.
It hurts when I pee. It especially hurts the people that are on the end of my pee when they get blasted in the face, which happens a surprising amount.
Outside of music and peeing on people, what you're known for. What do you?
Yeah, me and Chuck Berry.
What do you? Yes, exactly. What are you binge watching lately?
Well, My 600-Pound Life. I like that. I like that doctor.
Why are you so fat? I don't understand. Why do you eat so much?
I like that. I like that guy.
Yeah.
So, mostly that 1,000-Pound Sisters. I like to watch shows about really homebound fat people.
Heavy people, 600 pounds. Like, dude, I'm 230 and like, I couldn't imagine 2.5 my weights, man. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Big.
Have you seen this show, My 600-Pound Life?
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. Great. Those are some good looking women. Come on now.
What's the worst job you've had?
The worst job I've had was probably spreading hot asphalt for like $5 an hour. That was the worst job that I had. I kept telling people, I'm in a rock band. we're the next big thing. As I spread asphalt for $5 an hour.
Yeah. Pushing you towards
asphalt.
Music.
Yeah. Have you ever seen an asphalt truck that?
Oh, dude.
Hauling like a big boiling cauldron of something that smells so bad it makes you vomit all around.
Bubbling up and like you can smell it from 3 blocks away. And
yeah, that's a great gig.
Yeah, it's a great job. Yeah. All right, Blothar, I'll ask you two more questions and we'll wrap it up here. Are you a big sports fan? Which is your team?
Well, I'm big and I'm a sports fan, so yes. I mean, living in Sarasota, we have Grapefruit League football, Grapefruit League baseball, excuse me, grapefruit football. That sounds a little obscene. I mean, I like hockey. I like, go Bolts, man. I like, yeah.
Do you think that they are going to take it for a third time?
I hope so. It's not like it does feel wrong even to me as a resident of Southern Florida, but I'm not a native, obviously. I'm from the world of mist.
Right. You're a different planet, man. Different world.
Right. But like many fat old people, I now live in Florida. And so I can say that, of course, it feels wrong to have a team from Southern Florida playing against a legendary Canadian hockey team.
And they just tied it up, didn't they? I think they just evened it
Yeah.
up 2 games apiece.
That's right. Yep. So, but I do enjoy going to a hockey game. That's a lot of fun. I like screaming out things, learning personal things about the players, and then saying inappropriate things about them where they can hear them on the ice to try and get them upset. Like if they're an alcoholic or if they beat their wife or something. That's the funnest thing about hockey, is that you could scream at these twits and make them really angry and break their concentration.
Yeah. All right, last one for you, Blothar. I want you to share a near-death story where you're like, holy shit, I could have just died there.
Well, we were actually on crossing a pass in Snoqualmie, which is a place down in the state of Washington. And we had reached the top of this mountain, and suddenly the highways were slanted so that, what they call the super, so the trucks saved their brakes. But unfortunately, it had slicked up, and it was basically just like a big funnel that led everybody into the ditch. And so we were stranded with our vehicle there on the ice. And suddenly here comes a double long fuel truck.
Oh my God.
That is jackknifed right for the vehicle that we were in. And everybody started running, but I'm slow. Look at me. Speed is not my strong suit. So I started running down the mountain, and the fuel truck hit the van that we were in, and the van hit me, and I went sailing probably at least like 30 yards down this. It was a long ways because I was on ice too, right? So probably the ice is the only thing that saved me, because I started skidding, and I went down the mountain, and I was somehow fine. I couldn't believe it.
Wow.
But I remember as the van was hitting my back, I remember thinking to myself, I was not panicked at all. I was just like, this is so fucking stupid.
Like, this is how I'm gonna die. Like, really? My God.
Hit by my own van.
Totally. That's crazy. Awesome. Thank you again, man, for taking some time this morning to hang out with the Toddcast here in Vancouver. Your band's very easy, obviously, to find on social media, just simply at Gwar.
That's right.
The new Dark Ages coming out June 3rd.
Check it out.
Check it out.
Yeah.
And thanks again. Well, I guess we'll see you online.